Riverside today, and I am Tami Thacker, the director of the Veterans Resource Center. I'm a Navy veteran, and I'm here with Ralph Figueroa, an Army veteran. We are going to talk about the fact that he made the SVA Student Veteran of the Year. We are so proud of Ralph. Let's get his story.
It's a pleasure and honor to be here with you at UC Riverside. And for those that don't know me, my name is Ralph Figueroa. I'm a U.S. Army veteran, served 12 years in the U.S. Army.
Ralph, tell us a little bit about how you got started with the SVA. When did that begin?
Well, it's funny that you should mention that because I learned about SVA here. I don't know if you recall, but we did a project where I interviewed Greg Sanchez, who had just come back from NatCon and was a finalist for Student Veteran of the Year. So when he started talking about SVA, I got really curious because I had no idea what it was. So as I started doing a little bit of research, I went down the rabbit hole and immediately got back to my campus and make sure that we affiliated ourselves with SVA. I started seeing the program that they had, the scholarship opportunities, the Leadership Institute, the Washington Week, and so many other things. And I knew that as soon as I heard from him and the success that he had with SVA, I knew that our campus definitely needed to be involved.
Ralph, I do recall that visit. I think that that's wonderful that that's how you got introduced to SVA. I did not know that. So thank you for sharing that. Can you tell us a little bit about the work that you've been doing, not just with SVA, not just national work, but personally as well? Let us know what you're up to.
Well, these days I actually find myself really busy. I'm very grateful for the opportunity and the doors that being an SVA Student Veteran of the Year opened. I'm now currently the commissioner for the San Bernardino County Veterans Advisory Committee, which was a huge honor to be appointed by Supervisor Joe Baca Jr., whose father is actually an Army veteran and actually the mayor of the city of Rialto, which is where I live. So I really got involved in advocacy work because I started to see that SVA had a great platform. They're already in Washington, D.C. And as you well know, there's a lot of policy legislation that affects student veterans, especially when it comes to their education benefits. So this was a perfect opportunity for me to really understand how the inner workings of government and influence that we can have on our legislators to change. And so we can get those better education benefits, the Parity Act, getting a little bit more money for those book stipends. Everything else goes up in price, so do those books, and a lot of it's not being covered. There's opportunity we're looking at VA work study expansion, and there's so much more. And the more I went down that rabbit hole again, I started to really see what kind of an impact I could have on my community. So I just delved feet first and went in to see how I can impact. And throughout the course of this year, after winning the Student Veteran of the Year in January, like I said, everything's just been so busy. I'm currently working on putting a nonprofit together that's going to assist veterans that are partaking in the VRC program. There's a couple other things that we're working on, and everything's going to be centered around veterans. But I'm grateful that being Student Veteran of the Year has really amplified my voice, and it's given me an opportunity to go out and to share not only with the people in my community, the people from Southern California, from our state, but nationwide. And we are, getting together and really making an impact on all student veterans across the nation.
Ralph, that story is incredible. You do so much good work for the IE, and we need it. Our veteran population here is lacking, and you are creating that support for them and showing face, right? Showing face as an Army vet is very important in our community because people don't really know where we started and how we ended up like this. So would you share a little bit about how you got started in the Army and kind of give us a gist of how that prepared you for college, if it did?
I was actually inspired to join the Army because of my neighbor across the street, Mr. Green, who was a master sergeant. I saw his uniform one day as a kid. I was probably 10, 11 years old, and immediately knew that that's something that I wanted to be a part of. I also really wanted to use that opportunity to go to school. Coming from La Puente, which is a socioeconomically impacted community, I didn't want to make an excuse of saying, hey, I don't have the means of getting to college, because I knew I could do it through the military. So at the age of 17, I decided to enlist. I was a little bit young and I needed to get my parents' permission, which I got teased by the drill sergeants relentlessly during basic training. But the values and everything that I learned through the military, especially when it comes to organizational skills, time management, that mission-oriented way of looking at things, it just made me a go-getter. And so I'm grateful that everything that I learned from the military, especially the leadership skills on how to impact and inspire others. I had some great leadership as a young soldier that I learned so much from. And I wanted to emulate that in the future for the future soldiers, and then now for the students.
Ralph, you had mentioned the words leadership and inspiring others. I want you to share a little bit about what I know about you, about what you're up to now that you finished college You're out going into the workforce. Tell us what exactly you're going to do as far as leadership and inspiring goes, because I think folks really need to know what you're up to now.
So coming back after active duty and being a part of a National Guard unit, one of the first things I did was get involved in going to school. And I was like, I did my SATs after, high school. And I said, you know what, this is what I'm going to do. And I decided to go into liberal studies and thought it was going to be an easy career path in the beginning. But there were no veteran resource centers like you guys have here at UCR. I was overwhelmed. I bit off a little bit more than I can chew. So I took a little break, and in that break is when 9/11 happened. And so that changed the trajectory of my life, but I wasn't able to go back to school right away. And instead, I went the career route. It took me 20 years to go back to school to finish my degree. So understand that age is just a number. Nothing is gonna stop you from achieving your goals. And so I decided to go, and just like I had said, I'm gonna go to school. I also needed to complete that. And that was where the Army really pushed me to go forward.
Ralph, I've seen a photo of you and Greg, and I want you to share a little bit about that relationship, because that photo, pretty important photo, very serendipitous, if you will.
Well, Greg is the one that laid the groundwork for understanding what SVA was. And to think that we'd have a full circle moment, one, when we ran into each other at NatCon in Colorado Springs, and to have that conversation, he was there and was able to witness when I received the award, and getting the recognition from him and just the congratulatory message that he gave me really meant a lot to me, because he was the beginning of that. And a few months later down the line, I went on a family vacation to Orlando. We went to Disney World. We were on our way home. We're at the airport, and who do I run into? Not only, it was just Greg Sanchez there. And so we had another great moment, brother to brother, veteran to veteran, educator to educator, and Greg has served as a massive inspiration in my life, and the things that he's doing at the University of Chicago is unparalleled to what a lot of others are doing, and so proud of him. And constantly we reach out to each other through LinkedIn or through text message or a phone call to congratulate each other. And sometimes you just need that one person that gives you that little message that uplifts you, that just makes the world of a difference. And I'm so grateful for that chance circumstance of us, having an interview here at UCR's Veteran Resource Center, and to know that that relationship started from that and is still going. It's a beautiful thing.
So Ralph, the night that you won the award at the Student Veterans of America Conference, pretty special night. Tell us about how you felt prior to. Tell us about how you felt when they called your name, and then tell us how you felt when you were in that picture.
It's interesting because the morning of, I had to be up super early. We had a breakfast with some of the undersecretaries of Veterans Affairs. I didn't really sleep well the night before, and I'm not one to really get nervous. I've been in the public speaking sector for a long time, and usually, I'm just cool as a cucumber. But for some reason, that particular night, it was just dawning on me like, wow, this is really going to happen tomorrow. At the breakfast, and to be around the other finalists together, and that actually eased the whole moment, because we're all together, and I'm realizing, oh, they're nervous too. And so we knew that the ceremony was going to be special, and to be honest, I was rooting for a couple of the other student veterans that I happen to know so well that have been doing some amazing things in their community. So being on that stage with the 10 of us, the finalists, that to me was already the win. I knew that my life was going to change just being, selected as a finalist. So regardless of what was going to happen, I was already okay. But then the moment comes, and there was this a monitor speaker in the front that would echo to us. And sometimes we would kind of catch things and not catch things. So when the moment comes and they said, okay, and the Student Veteran of the Year, I honestly didn't really hear it. And I'm looking down the line, because the two people that I thought were going to win were down on the left side. So I'm looking down, and it wasn't until the person to my right says, hey, Ralph, what are you doing? And I was like, what do you mean, what am I doing? And they said, hey, you're up. And I was like, what are you talking about? And as I turned to the right, there was some big monitors hanging from the rafters up in the ceiling, and it had my picture. And I turned to that person. I said, hey, my face is up. Hey, my face is up there. What is going on here? And then it dawns on me, I am now the Student Veteran of the Year. And immediately the people that were there, because I've I've gone to Leadership Institute. I've gone to Regional Summit with some of them. So we have a very close bond. And the moment everybody came and was just congratulating me, there was this overwhelming feeling of love and support. Usually, like, you kind of see the Miss America pageant, and you kind of still see the little animosity between the first runner-up and whatnot. Here was completely different. Everybody was so supportive, and I was trying to compose myself. And I'm walking over to Jared, who's now handing me the trophy, and it's a beautiful glass trophy that sits, when everybody walks into my house, they see it, because I'm so proud of that. And he whispers in my ear, he says, "Hey, I'm so proud of you. I love you, brother." And he said, "Welcome to the brotherhood." And I was like, what is he talking about? And I remembered Jared was also a past winner of the Student Veteran of the Year. And then to be up there, to have that moment and to take this picture, I was literally trying to hold my breath and trying to not let my emotions get the best of me, because I know that a minute later I need to go on the microphone and share, some words. And they didn't give us a chance to prepare for it, so we had to go off the cuff. And walking towards the podium, Angelina, who was the previous winner, who passed the torch on to me, she comes in, she gives me a hug, and I want to cry, and it was such a powerful moment. And finally, I just got up to the stage, said what I got to say, and I kept it short, sweet. I heard one gasp, and it was a good one, because I had said something to the effect of, and it was a quote that I heard somewhere along down the line, somebody had mentioned to me, and I shared it with everybody. So as I got to the podium, finally composing myself, I had to just collect my thoughts, and I wanted to leave a little bit of a lasting impact. I shared a quote that I had heard. I don't remember where I seen it or anything, but it forever changed my life. And it says, "If you don't work hard to build your dreams, somebody's going to hire you to build theirs." And that was the crux of what gave me the inspiration to work harder, not because of anything else or anybody else, but for myself. I wanted to prove that I can go carve a path if I need to. I worked so tirelessly and relentlessly for companies that treated me like a cog in the machine, and thinking I was at the highest levels, especially in the automotive industry, thinking, oh, I'm untouchable. And when I got let go, it broke my heart. And when I heard that quote, it took me back to that moment, and I swore to myself I will never allow myself to be in that precarious situation. When I shared that during my speech, I remember the room just going, "What?" And I you could feel it. You could feel the oxygen just kind of like got taken out from a sigh from everybody. And people kept asking me, "What did you say again?" So many people, especially during at the campus, which was not too far from there, where at LinkedIn and all the, Northrop Grumman and all the other companies were there. And since then, there's been many veterans that have taken those words to heart and will tell me, "Hey, remember what you said? Well, guess what? I'm building my dream. I'm working towards my dream." And it really just, I get so elated to hear that, because I feel like, hey, I made an impact. Again, going back to the leadership, those are leadership things. And so it's these words that forever mean something to me. And really build your dreams. Go out there. Don't take no for an answer. Go do what you need to do. Sometimes you got to sacrifice. And for me, over the last few years, I had to sacrifice hanging out at parties or going out, hanging out with my friends, or sometimes even holidays. I had to come a little short because I was so dedicated to what I do as a graduate student. And I understood that if I really wanted to build my dream, it starts now. It doesn't start at the end after I graduate. By that point, it's going to be too late. So build your dreams and make them happen. So it was a great moment that I will never forget. It's going to be one of those things that's forever going to be in my heart and in my mind. And, to see it on social media, or to see it on the SVA website, especially if you go on the SVA website, you'll see my picture plastered a lot, which is kind of weird, but it's a huge honor. And, again, I don't take it lightly, and I look forward to being that ambassador for the next 2 years.
Ralph, there are not many people out there that do what you do. And the time it consumes in your life is quite amazing. I'm not sure how you do it. You must have a tremendous support system. I know you have a family, a lovely family. Would you mind tell us about the support that you're receiving?
My family is the reason why I do everything. So I have a great wife who fully supports me since day one. She knew the endeavor that I was going to embark as a full-time student. For the last 5 years as a full-time student, she's been there supporting me. Our kids have supported. They understood what was going on. My dad, who lives closer to me now, we have a great relationship. He's one of my best friends. I've always done things in my life because I've always wanted to make my family proud. And it's not about awards or recognitions or anything. I just want them to be proud of the person that I am. My mother was the biggest inspiration and where I learned my leadership and my public speaking from. And even though she passed in 2019 after battling cancer, I owed it to her in her memory to do whatever I needed to do. And so every day there's little signs that she tells me that she's still with me, and all those lessons that she taught me, not by words, by action, by seeing her do that, is one of the biggest reasons why I do what I do and why I work so hard. My family is everything. I work hard because I want to be a provider. I want to be able to enjoy my life. If I'm lucky, I've lived half my life, and I'm going to make the next half just nonstop because I want to live life to the fullest. Every minute counts, every second counts. And so my family has been supporting me when I had those long nights as a grad student, staying up late till 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning sometimes, and I have to be up at 8 o'clock. And there was my wife with a cup of coffee waiting for me, saying, hey, or just to even nudge me and say, hey, you need to go to sleep. And I made sure that as soon as I graduated, I took a break from everything and everyone to focus on them, just to be thankful of them and to show them my gratitude. And so, spending time with the family has been such a great way to decompress after, especially in my graduate program for 3 years, which was very intense. But they were there every step of the way. My sister, who works for the county of San Bernardino, she's a victim advocate and survivor advocate, I should say. We're not using the word victim. She's a survivor advocate, and as a survivor herself, she's another one that inspires me. And vice versa. My sister and I have a great relationship. And so family has always been the backbone of why I do things and why the importance of everything that I do. And I will forever continue that same rigorous work schedule. And people tell me you're busy all the time. And I'll be honest with you, Tami, I don't feel like I'm busy enough. But I'm glad that my family is able to see that. And without them, I wouldn't have accomplished any of these goals.
After spending some time with you and chatting, it comes to mind that your schedule is packed full. You may not have time for, let's say, fun and relaxation. So if you had a dream or an aspiration to go and do something, if you had time, should I say, what would that be? Would you travel? Would you take scuba lessons? What is your thing that you are aspiring to do that's personal life, not work life?
So to answer that question, it's to travel. I've traveled extensively all over the world through the military, but also as a stand-up comedian, I got to get the ultimate honor of traveling around the world and sharing laughter with our troops stationed all over the world. But I want to share that same experience with my wife. We want to, as we grow old together, we want to go out there and see the world and get outside of the bubble of California. We have everything here. I love California because we got the beaches, we got the desert, and everything in between. But I want to go out there and see different things and understand, look at different cultures. And as a rehabilitation counselor, it's important for me to see culture and how people embrace or deny disabilities, especially because working with the veteran population, there's a lot of disability, and they're both physical and mental. But I just want to enjoy myself and the food. I'm a foodie. I love to go out and eat. And so I look forward to the opportunities to just go out there. As a matter of fact, our planned trip next year is going to go to Ireland. We're going to do a week-long trip. We're going to go all over, starting in London and work our way all the way to Ireland. And we're already planning for the trip after that and another trip after that. So much that's going to happen. And in between, it's important to understand, mental health and well-being. We don't put that in front in our everyday lives. We say it, but we don't act on it. And it's important that your mental health and well-being be taken care of. Take that time to just enjoy those little things in life. Believe it or not, actually doing chores around the house brings me to a good, happy place, especially my backyard, because that's like my fortress of solitude. And people think that's so dumb. You're picking up dog poop. You love that. I'm like, when you own your lawn and those little fur babies, yeah, I embrace the fact that I have to go pick up their poop once in a while. And I can sit there and enjoy it because this is life. These are the little things that make me happy, because I know I'm at home, I'm supporting my family, we're creating a beautiful space. But definitely when we get a chance, we'll leave everybody behind, the wife and I and the kids. Every so often, we're going to take off and we're going to go see the world.
Ralph, after all of this news of your life exploding, what are you going to do in the future? What are your future plans?
Well, first, I'm going to continue doing everything that I'm doing. But now the thought of continuing on in education, as far as my own personal education, is really creeping in. And so I'm already looking at different doctoral programs. So I'm going to take a year off. And by next year or the end of this year, I'll be applying to doctoral programs specifically in educational leadership. There's something about as an educator, wanting to go in that route. And because I love education, since I was a kid, I was so blessed to have some teachers since early on in elementary school and in junior high and even in high school that really inspired me. And so that's what I'm really looking forward to. And I know it's, 5 years of being a full-time student was a lot. And I told my family, it's my wife, is that, hey, I'm gonna take a little bit of a break, but just, I do intend to go back to school. And I'm doing it for one big reason, and it's not anything personal. It's more for my dad. Before my dad passes, I want him to be there when I receive a doctorate, so that way when he sees Dr. Figueroa, I know that'll mean the world to him. And my dad's my hero. He taught me my work ethic of going day out, every day he would go to work consistently. And that's the thing that I also share with a lot of students is like, getting to the top is the easy part. It's staying there. It's the consistency when you are so tired or you've got so many things going on. That's always the hard part. And if you can push through that, if you can continue to just keep going no matter what and be consistent with what you're doing, those dreams that you're trying to build, guess what? That's how you're going to build them. So, I'm going to take some time and be able to travel, but I definitely want to go into the doctoral program and make some more impact at a higher level. And, and I'm going to do that successfully because I know my family's going to be there to support.
Dr. Figueroa, what are we going to do next? What are you going to do next? Do you have anything else to add to this conversation?
I like that. I will embrace it. We're putting it out into existence, into the universe. I just want to tell all the veterans out there, don't be afraid to ask for help. There's, I know it's hard to swallow your pride and ask for help. I know you want to be, especially us Army guys, be Army strong, or especially the Marines. And, look, asking for help is not a sign of weakness. You know who said that? Barack Obama. So go out there, ask for help. Student veterans, get involved in your community. There's veteran resource centers like here at UCR. And Tami, thank you for what you do, the inspiration you have for all your student workers, all the student veterans and their dependents, the families, the support that you guys give. Go out there, get involved in your veteran centers. There's so much to do on these campuses. We need a louder voice. We need more advocates to speak up. A lot of veterans talk about we don't feel heard. Well, figure out ways to get heard. Start speaking up, get involved in your community, get involved with your local politicians, reach out, ask for help. And I'm sure, especially here at UC Riverside, you guys have an amazing leader. Over in the Inland Empire, we're doing some amazing things together, which, Riverside, San Bernardino.
I want to thank you so much for coming today and talking with us and sharing your story. Very powerful. I am inspired. I feel like I'm about to explode with energy because I'm highly motivated from you being here today. A lot I didn't know about you that I know now, and sharing with the community is very important, right? Our veteran community. So thank you so much for being here today. And I want to let everybody know that's watching and listening that the UC Riverside Veterans Resource Center is here for you. You can reach us at veterans.ucr.edu, or you can call us at 951-827-2099.